I don't think myself in terms of being an artist or a surgeon. I just think of myself as being a person who does these things. I like doing something important. I like making a difference in people's lives. I like the technical aspects of being a surgeon. And I get great enjoyment out of doing an operation, doing it well, and having my patient do well. It's an emotional process to deal with patients and be a surgeon. And it's an emotional process to make these things. And the two do feed off of each other, but I'm not exactly sure how. I don't define myself by my title. I have lots of titles. And that's just, each of them is just part of who I am. It doesn't define who I am. I've been interested in glass ever since I was young, and I don't know what about it. It's just a very unusual substance. There's nothing that quite reflects and transmits light the way glass does. It's shiny. Guys like shiny things. The glass work that I make, often people will remark that they've never quite seen glass work that looks anything like that, because they probably haven't, because most of the glass work they've seen is blown glass. Glass made in a kiln is probably the oldest way that glass was manipulated and things out of glass were created. Once the concept of glass blowing was developed, that overtook that as a much more efficient way of making utilitarian objects. The things that we do in kiln forming you can't do in glass blowing, and the things they do in glass blowing we can't do in kiln forming. The artwork that I make is mostly strips of glass, sometimes sheets of glass, that are melted together to make some sort of a panel or bowl or dish. It's a slow process putting these together, and sometimes a project will take me weeks of sliding samples of colors around. I might just start with no idea other than I want to use red, and then I will just start experimenting, laying things out, taking scraps from other things, seeing what I could come up with. My most successful pieces are ones where people will look at it and it will make them think of something from their past, or remind them of some images. I've had some that I try and evoke feelings of the beach or a forest. And if somebody sees it and says, boy, you know, that kind of reminds me of a forest and the woods and the leaves, then I'm usually excited that I've achieved what I was trying to do, and to get that across just using abstract colors and textures and patterns in glass. To me, the best part is pulling something out of the kiln and being happy with it. But once it goes in the kiln, it changes, and the appearance of something that looked very nice on the table prior to fusing may not do what you want, or it may exceed your expectations. And you're always surprised when you open the kiln. It's never exactly the way you expect it. You know, they say that medicine is an art rather than a science, and it truly is. That I do surgery, and 5 surgeons doing the same operation will do it slightly differently. And with kiln-formed glass, the process is very similar to surgery, in the sense that there's this planning, there's this event where you put it in the kiln or you do an operation, and then there's this period of healing where things change, and then you end up with a result. I'll make something to wonder, where's this thing going to be 100 years from now? I was very excited to hear that one of the pieces I made was stolen. Maybe there's a black market in it. I don't know. You know, it's interesting that you've made to make something of value to people, and to wonder what will happen with it over time, because it will not deteriorate unless somebody drops it. To me, it's a lot about just creating something, and creating something beautiful. I do make a living being a surgeon. But when I retire, I'll be doing glass.